Lutheran disaster response is built around the idea that someone needs to be present with families and individuals who have been impacted by a disaster for the long haul.
Lutheran disaster response is a place to go so that we can all be tuned in to what the needs are, so that our service can be focused and helpful in the best way possible.
We need to figure out who's been through disasters, what their needs are, and so to get to that piece where we really come in as Lutheran disaster response, we need to do a lot of work as soon as a disaster happens.
Who do you know? What do you know about people who are vulnerable in your congregation and in your community, not just your members? How well is your facility prepared to shelter people if they need shelter, if they need to stay? How well is your facility prepared to take up and get out of the way if there's a disaster that's about to hit that facility?
We look at their spiritual needs, their physical, emotional, pretty much that wholeness wheel that we often talk about.
We gather together work groups that include people of many different Christian denominations and even other faiths.
We were able to work with our county governments, with FEMA, with AmeriCorps, with American Baptists, with Methodists, and really put those pieces together so we could get training for cleaning out homes, removing mud and debris from homes, find volunteers to be trained for them, and then actually find out where these homes were and pair up volunteers with homes that needed to be cleaned out. We were able to build our network beyond the boundaries that we separate ourselves with on a normal, everyday basis. LDR in Eastern Pennsylvania deploys volunteers to places beyond our region. Places like the Mississippi Gulf Coast, like Cedar Rapids, Iowa, like Joplin, Missouri, like Rhode Island, like New York State, all following flooding or other major natural disasters like tornadoes.
It's natural for us when we see the disaster on television to want to help. And so Lutheran Disaster Response helps congregations band together and do what no one congregation can do alone.
Well, the first involvement I had, truth be told, dates to 1972 with Tropical Storm Agnes in Wilkes-Barre, and I was a young reporter covering the disaster there. And what I saw persuaded me that as a Christian, I wanted to be involved in the recovery, if I could be.
Back in the 2006 flooding, we worked with a family that we were able to help put back into a home after several floods, and they had just used up their resources. It was a tremendous experience to be able to work with them through that time period. We ended up totally rebuilding their home, and they were so appreciative of the work that we did and the personal relationships that were developed during that time.
Many times we've been down to the Gulf Coast responding to the needs of people with Katrina. I remember working with a commercial fisherman down there who'd lost his home, hearing his story and about the blessings he'd received from God in the part of volunteers.
And it was also a great opportunity to serve someone with, a group of the people of God, and just to help them in their needs, and to see that they were so impacted by the flood and the storms and losing, sentimental items and whatnot. It was just enriching to be able to help.
Just meeting people, trying to help out with the problems they had, helping them power wash, clean their homes, and then in one critical instance, rebuilding a house. Flood buckets are used to clean a property. We give them to residents when they've had a problem, and they have all the basics for cleaning, anything from bleach to rubber gloves or what have you, sponges, any number of things, and we've stored them at Trinity and given them out from time to time.
So when those volunteers go those places and those mission teams go to those faraway places, they're the first people that I call back home here to use for response regionally in Southeast Pennsylvania when something happens.
Lutheran Social Service Minnesota has designed a program called Camp Noah, which endeavors and does a very good job at meeting the emotional and spiritual needs of children. Children react to disasters in ways that are different from adults. They process things differently. But Camp Noah helps them to process things themselves.
you tend to get really involved with the kids during the week, and at the end you want some kind of memorable item to take home. Memories are great, but something to show off is even better. So the last day of the camp before the kids all go home, we take our shirts and we go around to everybody, and everybody signs each other's shirts. And I really enjoyed working with the games. It kind of got the kids excited and pepped up, and seeing all those big smiles was a lot of fun.
In our culture today, there isn't enough money really to have extensive folks paid to do this kind of work.
Lutheran Disaster Response receives donations from individuals, communities, and congregations. Oftentimes, a group will do a specific event to raise money specifically for disaster response, be it a dinner or a woman's night or something of that sort, a special collection on a Sunday morning. We receive our funds gratefully from many of the congregations and communities in our service area.
This is to the point that we need your financial support. It is, again, a ministry that doesn't happen unless we develop the partnerships necessary to make it happen, not only when disaster occurs, but in between those times, so that we can be prepared for those times of emergency.
The funds we receive at Lutheran Disaster Response help to provide supplies for our building crews. It's helpful for them to be able to purchase on site exactly what's needed to do a rebuild or to do the work that's necessary for a homeowner.
I've seen it impact lives in many different ways. I was a member of a community that was impacted by an F3 tornado, and I saw people in that community pull together in ways and really come to know each other in some wonderful ways that, you know, even in a small town, we don't. Over the years, as we've worked with different families and in different places, I've seen congregations become excited about ministry, developing mission teams that they send off to communities, have sent off to communities down in the Gulf Coast, summer after summer, building relationships with congregations and families down there that they continue to carry with them back here. A whole ministry is developing over time.
I also learned an awful lot about myself because of the experience there, and because of that I can better help other people in the future.
Lutheran Disaster Response gives hope. It's plain and simple. Hope to the people who need help in a very specific and horrible moment of their lives. It also gives the people who serve a chance to hope in the difference they can make in this world. There's real need out there. There's real suffering. And in disaster response, with a hammer and with a screwdriver, with words of comfort, we're able to share a little bit of God's love and a little bit of the hope and joy that Christ intends for us.